Minnesota Vikings are rounding third and head towards home as mercifully the 2020 NFL season is close upon us. So as the Vikings wrap up training camp, let's take a look back. Here are the top 5 Vikings training camp letdowns as of right now, because as Vikings fans know, there's a lot more time to be disappointed and let down. So let's get into it. So numero uno. The Vikings rookie safeties, right? So you got 6th rounder Josh Metellus coming in from Michigan, 7th rounder Brian Cole II from Mississippi State, and I had high hopes. You love the versatility of Metellus. You love that he was a leader and everything like that, as well as Brian Cole II. Absolutely hard-hitting dude. Played some cornerback. Is going to be a great addition to that safety room, as well as, hey, I know that if you look on the surface, like, well, 15 draft picks and late day 3 secondary guys, but the Vikings do have a recent history of upward mobility at that safety spot. So you have Anthony Harris, you have Andrew Sendejo, both UDFAs. You have Jaron Kearse, 7th round pick, who became a big contributor as well. So these guys, if they put in the work, there's massive opportunity. As well as you look at Harrison Smith, only 2 years left on his deal, plus Anthony Harris on the franchise tag. The Vikings could have one or more different starting safeties next year and beyond. So they had an opportunity to grab this brass ring. They didn't. They did not. Brian Cole II's already gone. Josh Metellus is hanging on to the roster by a string. I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't make the 53. And then they brought in Stephen Parker off of waivers. They moved cornerback Nate Metters to safety. So it's really disappointing back there. It just is. Next up, number 2 disappointment for the Minnesota Vikings this training camp. So the young offensive lineman, and we talked about, all right, so even though the Vikings didn't hammer free agency, they didn't hammer the draft in terms of offensive linemen. Yes, 2nd round pick Ezra Cleveland, future left tackle of the Vikings, but then they waited till late day 3, Blake Brandel, who could be a little bit something at left tackle, as well as 7th round project Kyle Big Hinton coming out of Washburn. But a lot of so they didn't really hit things hard during the draft for offensive line because they believe in some of these other younger offensive linemen. But Oli Udoh was a little bit slow getting out of the gates because he was on the COVID reserve list, as well as Drew Samia hasn't really taken advantage. And now the Vikings are heading into the season with starting de facto starters, Pat Elflein at right guard, Dakota Dozier likely at left guard, as well as Aviante Collins could be in the mix as that swing interior backup. So what gives? What is up with Drew Samia? What is up with Oli? And also, what is up with the young guns? Like, I get it. They want to experiment with Ezra Cleveland in a guard. I disagree with it wholeheartedly. I think that he should remain at left tackle, but it's weird. Oh, plus they cut Josh Klein. So, yeah. Next up, disappointment number 3 for the Minnesota Vikings coming out of training camp. So no DALVIN extension. And everyone and their mom thought that it was very close. In fact, from what we had been hearing, that DALVIN and the Vikings were on the goal line and ready to punch this thing in. And we even put her on the table saying that it would have happened, was it 2 weeks ago, last week, something like that. Hasn't happened. In fact, it's been reported that talks have broken off, which again could be a negotiation ploy. But I mean, the Vikings and DALVIN agreed on everything except for total money, average per year, injury guarantees, and length of contract. But other than that, like they were good to go. So it does seem like DALVIN initiated the breakoff because things were getting done. And also, if you're in DALVIN shoes, you don't want to settle below what you expect your market to be. Like, what if DALVIN signed like a 4-year deal for $8 million per year in the Melvin Gordon terms of average per season, and then has a 2,200 yards from scrimmage season, best running back in the game, first team All-Pro. All of a sudden, he's massively underpaid, and then like the gamble of him taking a lower market deal didn't pay off. So I understand it now. DALVIN is a team first guy. He does not want this to be a distraction. He doesn't want every single question, every single press conference with coaches, with his teammates to be, hey, what about DALVIN's deal? What about DALVIN's contract? How about that? How about this? How about other things? So he's going to focus on the season. He's going to bet on himself, and I respect that. So we'll see what happens there. Next up, disappointment number 4 for the Minnesota Vikings coming out of training camp. So defensive line depth, and not gonna lie, on paper, this defensive line this offseason looked pretty damn sexy. If they had brought back Everson Griffin, which I still think they should have, because 3 days after Everson signed with Dallas, I mean, Daniil got tweaked. So great. But Everson gone. Michael Pierce opted out, the big free agent signing. coming from Baltimore, was going to be that nose tackle, as well as Danielle Hunter is now hobbled, missing his 10th straight practice as of right now. So there are some questions, right? So right now, you're starting edge rushers. If Danielle, for some reason, knock on wood, has to sit out week 1, it's Afadio Denebo, who we know and love, except it hasn't been a full-time starter in this league, as well as Jalen Holmes, the third year quasi-disappointment coming along, 2018 4th-round pick out of Ohio State. And then your third defensive end is Cheeseburger Eddie Yarbrough, as well as veteran Anthony Zettel. And then all the way down, you have the 2 rookies, Wandam and Lynch. So, great. I do have questions. As well as defensive tackle, like you would think that the Vikings would have brought in someone like a Snacks Harrison, like a Marcel Darius, with Pierce opting out. No, staying in-house. They're all in with Shamar Stephen at nose tackle. Jaleel Johnson is going to be the starting 3-tech on rundowns. Armon Watts is going to work his way in there, as well as they love Hercules Mataafa, which, again, all of these defensive line names would be great if Hunter was healthy, if Everson was still here, if Michael Pierce had not opted out. So, defensive line was the issue last year. Notably in the middle, Linval Joseph was simply not the same. The Vikings were gashed up the middle in the run game. So now I do have concerns. Some major concerns. Lastly, disappointment number 5 for Minnesota Vikings coming out of training camp. So the young quarterbacks. So Kirk Cousins, by and large, has had the best training camp of his career. He's out there slinging darts, just being the best Tim Potts Pizza Ranch dictator that he could possibly be. Sean Mannion having a pretty solid camp as well, working with the 2s, but had held out hope. So there had been some early offseason hype around Jake Browning, the second-year UDFA out of Washington, as well as 7th-round pick Nate Stanley, the first non-first-round quarterback drafted by the Vikings since 2008. So you would think that one of them could show a little something with the 3s, just a little sign of life that maybe one of them could unseat Sean Mannion as QB2. Maybe one of them could emerge as, hell, the possible heir to Kirk Cousins, or at minimum, just a very solid backup. But haven't seen it. Haven't seen a ton of great flashes from Browning or Stanley. So the Vikings may have to clean the slate next year. Potentially even invest a rather high draft pick in a quarterback who could be the quarterback, de facto quarterback of the future. So that is it. That is our top 5 Minnesota Vikings training camp letdowns as of right meow. What are your thoughts on our thoughts? What are your letdowns and disappointments? Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support that work? Pull us on the Venmo. Plus give us a follow on social media as well. But until next time, Skull, production value.